It's straight up at 8 o'clock. And when you say the name Elton John, say poet along with it. Mona Lisa's and Mad Hatters. Welcome to the Mornings with Ed show, a Thursday edition of the program. Delighted that you're with us, broadcasting live across the globe from the absolutely magnificent city of Laguna Beach. And we're really on the most iconic corner of Laguna Beach, Ocean and Coast Highway, directly across from the iconic Lifeguard Tower on Main Beach. Stoked that you're here. Stoked that my guest is here. First Thursday artist corner that we've done. We've moved it from the Monday. Delighted to see that you're all tuned in for the Monday conversation. Christiana Ulwelling. And she'll right now slap me if I pronounce it wrong. I'm sure. She spent the first 5 years of her childhood growing up in dozens of children and foster homes, and eventually was adopted at the age of 5. An amazing personal journey for her to lead her to this moment right now in that chair. We're going to talk about that amazing personal journey and her art and all the things that she's doing for others with her art. But first, let's welcome Christiana. How are you?
I'm so good this morning. Thank you, Ed.
I'm delighted to have you here. I've been fascinated by your story. And I should let the audience know, you just simply passed by one morning. Lisa was in the studio, and there was this cool vibe of just positivity in the air when the two of you were talking. All right, what is she? She's an artist. All right, cool. Let's have her on. Welcome.
Thank you, Ed.
All right. And so I want to start the journey, if it's okay with you, at the very beginning.
Sure.
You spent the first 5 years of your childhood growing up in foster homes, and eventually you were adopted. What's the story behind needing to be in foster homes that young?
Yeah, so interestingly enough, I actually met my birth cousin about 7 years ago, my birth mom, so I got the facts. Because I didn't have the facts for, oh my gosh, until I was, well, let me see, 50, right?
Okay.
So 50 years. So basically, what my birth mother told me is she kept me until I was 2.5, and then I got taken away from her. She was a single mom, and she was going from pretty much guy to guy trying to find someone to take care of her in the 60s. She just couldn't get her shit together. Right. And I asked her if she was on drugs. She said she was smoking pot and probably alcohol and some other stuff. So essentially I was born an addict, which is interesting. Okay. And so she for those 2.5 years, she was going from place to place in the LA Hollywood area. Makes sense, right? And in
the 60s, no less.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Kind of a fun time. And so then I got taken away from her at 2.5, put into a children's home. So not even foster care, children's home. So pretty crazy, tumultuous that was. And then dozens of foster care, children's homes, things of that nature, and then finally adopted at 5. So that's pretty much the backstory in that. You know, my adopted family did the best they could with what they have, which is, you know, what I know now. Right. I'm pretty evolved, and brother was pretty terrible, to be perfectly honest. He was 5 years older. He was their natural son, and I kind of ruined his life. So he was pretty abusive. Mother did the best she could with what she had. She was definitely emotionally abusive, and not so physically. My dad was a pretty sweet guy, and he was great. So, you know, blessings for him. Okay. As far as that goes,
let me ask you about what not knowing your origins for that long of a time. What is that like? Not knowing your origins.
You know, Ed, it was totally tormenting. It took over my entire being, my entire life. I was in a constant state, which I didn't know until now. I was in a constant state of fear, safety. Who am I? Where did I come from? I was completely confused. There's a little interesting twist on it. So my adopted family, for the most part, was prejudiced and racist, which is so interesting here in Laguna Beach. And I'm the total opposite. So my mother had told me that I was German and Swedish growing up. Right. And I actually finally found out in my 30s that I was actually half Israeli and then pretty much a super Jew, if you will. Okay. Ashkenazi super Jew, which is so funny because...
That's why the SJ on your chest, right?
Yeah, right. And I was living in New York City for 10 years back in the 90s and early 2000s, and I had married a guy back then who was Jewish and half of his family is Israeli. And all my friends in New York were Israeli and Jewish. So it was almost like I was going to my roots. roots.
Right.
And then after that had dissolved and all that, and I finally found out, years later that what I actually was, I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Right.
So pretty interesting, but I was really happy about that.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
So I don't want to beat the point to death, but
it's okay.
you mentioned your brother, who was 5 years older than
Yeah.
you, was abusive growing up, and we find a lot of times in foster situations or adoptive situations,
Yeah.
there's no one to tell. There's no one that you can cry to. There's
No.
no way to tell your story. When you finally left the house,
Yeah.
and went to New York. You left at an early age. You left in the early 20s with your own money and just bailed. You went to New
Yep.
York. Did you keep in touch with that family?
Well, yeah,
Or that brother?
Yeah, I did. Him a little bit on and off, throughout the years. My mom for quite some time, and then my dad. We'd have phone conversations. I would fly out sometimes, but to be perfectly honest, even though again they did the best with what they had, you know what I mean. They tried to love me, but a lot of times it happens when you're adopted situation. You're not blood, and they try to connect, but they can't. And now I'm completely forgiving, and what's done is done. Sorry, I forgot what was the main question of that.
The main question was, when you left, did you keep in touch with the
Oh, yeah,
family?
so I did keep in touch. I flew back and forth, but those 10 years, besides now, were some of the best years of my life because I was disconnected and doing my own thing and my own person.
Discovering who you are.
Exactly. And my art started thriving and all that, and friends galore, and life was beautiful.
Right. So in school, as let's say a 6th, 7th, 8th grader, were you doodling? Were you knowing that that you were artistically inclined?
Yeah, actually, since I was 5. From the moment I got adopted, from what I was told, I don't remember a lot of my childhood. I blocked a lot out, but I was drawing on the entire house. They had to take things away from me. There's a super funny story. One time they took everything away, so I went and I locked myself in the bathroom. I think my mom said I was around 7, 8-ish. I don't know for certain. I took baby powder out of the cabinet, clogged the sink, and made a paste and started making sculptures on the walls.
Oh, there you go.
Isn't that wild?
There you go.
So the one beautiful thing about my adopted mother is that she saw something in me in the art. So she used to pull me out of school and take me to art classes and museums, and so she, even though that pissed her off, she still nourished that. So it was quite nice.
Very cool. And the texture of baby powder once you put it on the wall, what is that like?
You know what? I can almost have a sensory of it right now. I kind of remember trying to get it into like more of like a runny paste, but it kept drying up too much. I do remember it a little bit, yeah.
And at what point in your life do you think to yourself, art is the career? It's going to be something I want to do and try and profit if I can from it.
I kind of knew from high school.
Okay.
I did.
Really?
And again, that has a lot to do with my adopted mom. She was so nurturing in the art. She was an artist herself. She wasn't a showing artist, a real practicing artist, but she really wanted to be. And so she was a parent that never said, you can't do this. She did want to steer me maybe towards graphics, but I was like, hell no, I'm going fine art.
Right.
So I knew from a young age.
Okay.
Yeah, 15, 16.
All right.
Yeah.
And I want to talk specifically about some of the art in particular, but you are, if we were to describe you, you are a humanitarian artist.
Yes.
You're an activist, and you think globally. You have a global conscience, and we're all joined in some way. The world is joined. How does that affect what you create?
I think, well, actually, I know. From all of the suffering that I've had, and we haven't gotten to everything, and maybe we won't.
Oh, we will.
I've had
we
lot
will.
of trauma and PTSD and a lot of things, and I think from going through all that stuff, but also doing the work on myself, it's made me have this heart where I don't want other people to suffer the way that I did, and I also know that you can go through hell and back and be not just okay, but be freaking great and joyful. And so I like to take my art into areas around the globe, Pakistan, India, Cambodia, Laos, Argentina, everywhere, here locally too, and have my art be a tool to help people to heal, even just simple things like self-confidence, like, oh, I really can do a piece of art and that makes me feel confident. It's a form of therapy. It takes your mind out of your mind just for a moment. It's an escape, a place to go. So that's pretty much what I like to do.
Okay.
You know, I really enjoy seeing people light up and change and see hope.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you see when you're in a community, whether it's here in the United States or somewhere else, when you see impoverished children, A, it has to break your heart, and B, you have to want to do something about it. What's your inclination to do?
My first inclination is I'm a digger, and I'm also a little conspiracy theorist. So if I see something like that, at first I want to know what the heck's going on, right? And then I want to see if there's a way that I could help, right?
Okay.
But to see if there's a way that I can help where it's not about my ego, it's, genuinely helping them, because that can be an issue too. It can be like, am I helping for a check mark, to look cool, to be special and different, or do I really have a heart to help this person or people or group? Right. So that's kind of where I go at situations before I jump into it.
Okay. You are currently in recovery.
Yes.
And if I say you're in recovery forever, that's correct, right? You're always in recovery. Tell us about the addictions and what led you to recovery, to making the decision to stop.
Yeah. So I didn't think that I was an alcoholic addict at all. I just thought I was a hardcore partier, to be honest.
Right.
Wee, right? I grew up in a house where everyone drank and it was cool. It was like the 70s and 80s. My parents drank at the table. They smoked cigarettes. My brother was a huge partier. Right. So I thought that it was normal. Right. Like, I thought it was actually cool. And then I started to like dabble in and off out of the years, but I would have like years without drinking, or months, or I never tried to not. I just didn't, right? Because I'm also, to believe it or not, I'm a bit of a health nut. Okay. So, gym rat, yoga, all that stuff. So since I was little, in the gym and all that. So just in the last 2 years, I started to see that things were changing. I started to drink my emotions away. I started to want to drink before I went to parties into excess to be social, feel cool or special, have a social norm. Things started to change, and I was like, what is going on here? And I started to black out. And I was a binge drinker. I wasn't an everyday sit on the couch drinker all day. Right. But some of my binges towards the end here got to be like 3, 4, and 5, and 6 days. So that's pretty serious, right? And I just said to my husband one day last year, last January 19th, I think it was, that I need to get help. But I kept saying I was an alcoholic, but I wasn't really sure. I'm like, I don't know, because it's kind of like it's an embarrassing thing. Are you an alcoholic? Are you not? So anyway, I checked myself into rehab and detox with his help and support. He's amazing. And
what's his name?
Jim.
Okay.
Jim Ulwelling.
Hey, Jim.
He's amazing, yeah. Supportive, best friend, love of my life. So makes me want to cry. So I checked myself in, but I knew in that first stint there was no way I was staying sober. Right. There was no way. I wouldn't even say in the room in rehab. I wouldn't even say that I was an alcoholic. I would say, "Oh, I have alcohol abuse disorder," and anything to step around it with a room of 20 people. I'm like, no way, I'm not saying it. So I got out, and of course I knew I was going to dabble. And at first it was okay. I was like having a glass of wine here, having it there, and then I noticed I was starting to get a little sneaky, right? A little sneaky here, a little
making
sneaky
deals
there.
with yourself.
Making deals with myself and the devil, yeah, right?
Right.
So, but and so that went on for about 8 or 9 months, and then this, I'm 101 days today, 101 Dalmatians, 101 days.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, super stoked. And so about 110 days ago, it started happening again, and it got really dark. I was 8 or 9 days drinking nonstop, anything I could get my hands on. Whiskey, vodka, maybe tequila, I can't remember, don't remember almost the whole week. And I remember in that moment I had suicidal ideation. Okay. It was terrible. And
describe the exact situation, please.
So it's kind of, so I get triggered by emotion when I don't feel safe, loved, or wanted. And I have 3 beautiful stepdaughters, but I was feeling like one of them was coming over and I wasn't going to feel like loved. And so I decided to go get wine and keep it in the house and sneakily drink so I would feel okay. Right. Well, that didn't turn out so well. No one knew what I was doing, of course, because I'm very sneaky. That's what we do. But it kept going on and on. The next day, I had to go house sit for a friend for 7 days. I didn't realize, maybe I did in that house, it's almost like you're walking into a bar. So the party continued with myself to blot myself out because I was still like having those feelings of feeling like not loved, not wanted, not cared for, because it's a family situation. Family's uncomfortable for me, right? That makes sense. Right. So I proceeded to drink on and off, actually pretty much on for those days. Can't remember hardly anything. smart enough to Uber back and forth to
Good.
take care of the dogs and house sit.
Bravo.
Thank God.
Bravo.
But on the last day I came home, and I guess my husband told me he tried to get me to go to detox on that night. I said no. In the morning I said no. And then something happened that afternoon by the grace of God. Got on my knees, walked into the kitchen, was bawling my eyes out and prayed to God, please take this away. I'm suicidal and I need help. And I managed to actually get our insurance cards and call random rehab centers.
Right.
And one of them said, fine, your insurance checks out. We got you in. They sent me a car at 6 o'clock at night. I had no idea where I was going. I could have been going to Arizona, Pittsburgh, Santa Ana, and I ended up with this amazing place, Monarch Shores, just in Dana Point.
Okay.
Life changer. In that moment there, something changed that was different from before. My desire to drink was completely lifted. I don't even think about it anymore. It actually makes me nauseous. So everything completely changed. The other amazing thing about the house sitting situation was on my way to the rehab that day in the Uber, I got a really nasty message from the woman's house who I was sitting. And I was like, oh, shit. So that was pretty terrible. So then I have got guilt and shame on top of the guilt and shame I already have, right?
Right.
She didn't know. She's in the message, I think she said, I'm going to call your husband. And I was actually relieved. So long story longer, she actually called my husband. He told her that I was an alcoholic and that I was going through a bad way. She's like, oh, my God, I feel so bad. I didn't know. Come to find out, she worked for Betty Ford for 3 years. Her ex-husband was an alcoholic. Her husband's son is in and out of recovery. So I had these people where she was now coming to my recovery center, dropping off flowers and apologizing to me.
Right.
I was like, oh, my God, please don't apologize to me. I drank all your alcohol. You know what I mean? I didn't take care of your dogs the way I should have. So anyway, that's how God works, right? So I mean, it's kind of an amazing story that's where I relapse and that's where I get to recover. Right.
So you're 101 days in.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's 102 days,
Yeah.
and I know it's one day at a time.
Yeah.
I get it. I understand that.
Yeah.
Do you ever think, is there a fear of a relapse at some point?
So there's something called a pink cloud. I have no pink cloud, which means I'm not delusional.
Okay.
I don't. Well, okay, so I have a healthy fear. But I also, like I said, by the grace of God, because God is my higher power, by the grace of God, I don't have any desire to drink. And I think about the last time I was drunk, that's and I think I do not want to go back there. I do not want to blow up my life, blow up my marriage, blow up my career. My anxiety and depression is gone. My desire to not live is gone. And my whole life has literally changed in just 101 days. It's been work, though. It's not like it's just like, oh, yeah, I'm sober now and everything's okay. Right.
I'm already reading on the Text Connect the inspiration that you're providing for the audience. Thank you very much there. Let's talk about the artwork a little bit now. Yeah. This incredible journey of yours influences the magnificent art that you create. In your head, as you're creating, is there pain? Is there suffering? And is there the hope? Is there light? I saw all three in your artwork.
Yeah, so even going back in time, art was always a refuge for me because I was suffering for like the majority of my life. I mean, that sounds terrible, but I really have been different levels of suffering, right? I've had lots of moments of joy. I've had a great life, to be perfectly honest.
You're here today, alive.
I'm alive.
Right.
I got to wake up today. Someone else didn't.
Right.
And I say that every day. Right. So my art has always been about what I'm going through. So, torture with my mom and my brother. I used to paint about that. It used to be really dark. I was also somewhat sex trafficked and have sexual assaults. So I used to paint about that. And, but then as time has changed, I paint about things that will give others hope. Evolution of self. Look inside yourself. Anything's possible to change. Darkness, beauty, light, all of it. I paint about all of it. But I don't paint in a way that's super dark anymore. Right. The subject matter might be about evolution, dark to light, but the painting will be more about beauty when it's color, shape, and form in an organic way that it's showing change, right? Change, hope, faith, all that stuff.
When you mentioned you were sex trafficked, was that in New York?
No, it was actually here.
Okay. Before you went to New York?
Yeah, it's one reason why I left.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
You want to get into that?
A little bit. It's kind of a random story. This woman that was living next door to us knew that I was pretty much emotionally abused severely and unloved, and had been grooming me for years. And she sent me on a situation which was supposed to be just a lunch date. Didn't turn out to be a lunch date. The guy sexually assaulted me, essentially raped me, but for him it really wasn't rape because he thought that I was supposed to be there.
Right.
Anyway, long story, a little longer, shorter. I was crying, went home. He had paid me. I threw her the money, and I said, I'm never doing that again. I can't believe you sent me on that date. At the time, I was a makeup artist. I had a full-time job, loved my job. And she used to say, if you don't do it again, I'm going to tell your family. I'm going to steal your stuff. I'm going to kill your cat. I mean, it was threats beyond. She used to go to my makeup counter, stand there and stare at me, call me and tell me I had to leave. One day I did go home, and she had taken my cat and stolen everything out of my entire house. It was pretty bad.
Right.
Actually, that's when my alcoholism started to really kick in. I was in fear for my life,
Right.
in fear for her, in fear of like what she was doing, because she was making me go out and see these guys. If not, she was going to destroy my life. Yeah, so after that, I ended up, a bunch of bad shit happened. I had 2 more sexual assaults, got a DUI, and said, can I say the F word?
No.
Okay.
Right.
F this, I'm going to New York, and I left as a makeup artist, and I left and took off to get away from my family and to get away from her. It was the only way that I was going to be free. There was no way that I was going to be free. So, yeah.
Okay. And
Yeah.
thank you for asking.
Yeah, sure.
I've had people that haven't asked, and I'm
That is definitely an F word, right? That's deserved.
You gotta hit the sound button, and then people miss other parts of the conversation.
Yeah.
So what I'm noticing about your art and these figures that you create are strength. They're strong. They're powerful figures. And do you now see yourself after you? It's almost like a phoenix rising. It's I see power coming from your past, power coming from your tortured early years.
Yeah. I had a lot of years tortured up until I was like 41. I was also like an attempted sexual assault in India, sober in the middle of the night in a house. So it's like I have a lot of stuff that still vibrates from me with a lot of stuff. But yeah, I mean, they truly say God doesn't give you more than what you can handle.
Right.
And that's a lot of stuff to handle. I even have even more stuff, but I'm doing so much work, and I've done so much work even before recovery. I was doing work on myself that I feel pretty strong and powerful, but not arrogant, because there's a fine line in the power and the arrogance where, like, if I haven't gone through the stuff I have, how could I be an empath for other people to authentically help them? I just couldn't.
Right.
So now I can paint about it, talk about it, hug about it, love about it, and say, it's okay. You can go through all this stuff and come out and be like, yeah, it's stuff that happened, but it's just stuff that happened. It's okay. Get it out.
If someone is suffering from addictions, whether it's drugs or alcohol, or they're suffering from some form of abuse, do you feel able and are you in a position to mentor or help them?
I think I am actually, and I have been for quite some time, for many years, and I do it like when I travel overseas, but also I was doing a lot of work in mental health and substance abuse for quite some time, and art therapy and yoga therapy, helping people in that arena. And I've only been in recovery for 101 days, so I wouldn't go out and do too much work with those people that are in recovery. I just don't think it's appropriate at this point in time.
Right.
But when it comes to helping people that have, like, eating disorders, which I had also when I was super young, and the sexual assaults and the trafficking and all kinds of other stuff, absolutely. Right. Yeah. I think just giving love and hearing someone and knowing that it's okay, you're okay, and I truly understand you. Right. It's different for me in our situations, but I get you. Right. Yeah.
Can you spot someone who's drowning? Can you just in public see someone?
100%. I can actually feel vibration when I'm holding someone's hand.
Okay.
That's another thing, yeah.
All right. Okay.
I can feel someone suffering.
And currently, art-wise, creation-wise, working on something in particular for this journey of the last 100 days?
Yeah. So I have an amazing art rep. His name's Kerry North, and he has a company called Perspective Art and Design. He's out of Long Beach. He's incredible. So I'm working with him now, and he places art in people's homes and offices, also restoration hardware. He does a lot of work in Palm Springs, Palm Desert, LA. So I've got him now, which is amazing. That just happened in my because of recovery.
Right.
And also, Little Grace Gallery over here across the street. It's a super sweet little gallery, very international. I'm in there now with some of my new pieces on mental health and recovery.
Let's talk about a couple of those pieces in particular, please.
Oh, the pieces there. So while I was in rehab and PHP, I was drawing every day, like 1 to 2 drawings a day. Right. And I was tormented a lot there because I was guilt, shame, resentment, hatred, anger, all that stuff, basically directed about myself and not feeling heard or seen or feeling just terrible about the stuff that I had done. And so I was drawing it out. So I was basically drawing my emotions out. And so then these drawings are basically ink on paper, just really intricate, organic formed human figures about my journey. So it's almost looking at poetry, like reading poetry, but in a drawing, so you can see it and you can actually, oh yeah, I know what that is, in some sort of way. So that's what I've been working on. Right.
So in getting ready for this conversation, I thought to myself, well, she is on the road to recovery. She is recovered and on the road to further recovery. Is this conversation a way of dragging her back in some way, making her feel dark in some way? So when you walk away from the studio, you feel better? Do you feel more relieved, or do you feel like I've kind of, like I will pulling you back underwater a little bit?
No.
When you tell this story.
Definitely not pulled under, because I have the tools now. I'm doing so much work on myself with not having too much of an ego and not being an opportunist, looking for opportunities, having integrity, walking in truth. When something comes up and I'm feeling a moment of maybe darkness, oh shit, we just went into the past. Right. I can feel the vibration coming up into my body, and I can tell myself, I'm safe, it's okay, it's in the past, it's all good, right? So I have the tools to know that it's just a feeling, it's going to pass. It's not who I am. I'm not my emotions, I'm not my feelings. It's just something that's flooding through me, right?
Okay.
So,
just a moment, if I could ask you about Jim in particular.
Oh, my amazing husband. Yeah.
How'd you guys meet?
Randomly, we met 10 and a half years ago at Anki Restaurant at South Coast Plaza. I was with a girlfriend who's married and kids, amazing girlfriend, Susan. And we were shopping. At the time, I was really sick. I was living in a home that had mold in it. So I was coughing, right? And so she wanted to go to lunch. I wanted to go to lunch. And we were choosing places. And I think Tuesday, Wednesday afternoon, nobody was out. It was dead in the whole South Coast Plaza. And so she wanted to go to Anki, and she wanted to sit at the bar there. Not like a bar, a nice bar, right? The restaurant. And so I said, okay, fine. And there was a guy sitting. So she made me sit next to him. I didn't even know what his face looked like. None of that stuff at all. And so the two of them were talking over me. And I was kind of sitting back, completely annoyed, wanted to go home because I was sick. So I'm like, of course, I ordered a glass of wine. That'll calm me down, right? My old tools. And so they were talking, and they were talking over me. He's like, well, what's wrong with her? And I'm sitting literally right next to him. And she goes, oh, she has mold in her. She's living in a house. And he goes, oh, I'm a real estate attorney.
Oh, there you go.
And I go, and I look at him and I go, and I'm super sassy. I go, I'm not suing anybody. I'm just moving out, right?
Right.
And so I guess he was kind of flirting with me. I had no idea. And so I'm also a stylist. In New York, I was a stylist for 10 years, hair, makeup, wardrobe, all that stuff. I love fashion. So we start chatting, and I said, well, here, I'll give you the information. Here's my email, and I'll send you whatever I have, right? And and I said, well, if you need some help, maybe I'll take you shopping to pay you for it. And he goes, what do you mean take me shopping? I go, well, I don't know who dresses you, but you need some help. And he goes, what do you mean? I have a personal shopper. And I go, where? Nordstrom? Because I know Nordstrom is free. And he goes, yeah. So it's pretty funny. But the magical part about that is that the back kitchen had sent out this huge, massive bowl of spicy edamame, which is my favorite thing. But the bowl was huge, and he didn't order it. And so I think that was actually in the beginning. So he was sharing it with us. And so on our 6-month anniversary, we started dating after that, obviously. We went back to Anki, and we're like, we want to order the edamame. And so our waiter said, we don't have edamame here. So he was getting mad at us. So then he gets the manager to come out, and the manager's like, I've been here for 2 years. There's never been edamame in the restaurant. Super pissed off at us. So we call it the magic love beans because we didn't order it.
Where did it come from?
Where did it come from? Because otherwise we wouldn't have talked, I don't think. because that came out first, and then we all started talking. So that's it.
That's a magical moment.
It's a magical moment, yeah. God's hands again, right?
Oh my God! And you make me want edamame. I know what lunch is today. Lunch is edamame today. So, one serious question regarding him with the life that you'd led and having been trafficked and just all the crap that you dealt with. How did you trust him?
There's something about him that is super. Well, he's just a straight up, full of integrity and love human being, and he had to work on trusting me too. He had a past marriage, so there's that. He had to work on trusting me too. So I just think over time I started to trust him. And the funny thing is on like the third week of us dating, or maybe it was longer than that, I don't know. This is when I'm my drinking days, obviously. Drank a ton of whiskey and told him my whole life story. In the first 3 weeks, like everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, my drunken nights with random guys, all that stuff, the stuff you do when you're an alcoholic. And he still loved me no matter what. He was like, okay.
He had his chance to run, then he didn't. Right.
He's like, okay. And this is a guy who's got tons of integrity, doesn't sleep around, never done a drug in his life. Is a normie drinker, just like the stand-up guy. And here I am, this wild banshee, wee, right, on the wee factor. So, he's amazing. He supports my art. He loves what I do. He supports my recovery. Our marriage and our relationship is the best it's been in 10 years because of this. He even told me just a few days ago, I've never seen you this happy in 10 years.
I love hearing that.
Right?
I love hearing that. My hat's off to both you and Jim. I swear. I love hearing that. Christiana, how do we find your art? How do our listeners find your art? Where can we support you the best?
Oh, thanks. So there's a few different ways. So my art rep, Carrie North, Perspective Art and Design. That's always a good Google. Perspective Art and Design, Carrie North. It's an easy Google. He's an art rep for me. Also, if they want to take a little look, I think there's 10 pieces, 1 painting, and 9 super cool new drawings at Grace Gallery here in Laguna, like right next to Main Beach.
Okay.
And then my website is christianafineart.com.
Okay.
And then also Instagram, if you want to follow my recovery story, Journey to Sobriety Through Art. Okay. So Journey to Sobriety Through Art. Christiana Fine Art Gallery is the art site, and Facebook Christiana Colorful Souls. That's a lot of stuff, but it just. And
we'll go ahead and share it on our site as well, and then they can tune in that way. I do have a question off the Text Connect. A listener wants to know info for a friend on Monarch Shores Rehab Center.
Oh, I'm not sure what info that you're looking for, but I loved Monarch Shores. So any rehab you're going to go to, you're always going to have BS. You're always going to have someone that rubs you the wrong way, blah, blah, blah. That's probably much your addiction and alcoholism just talking to you and telling you to, talking you out of it. So just be aware of that. Just like any job, there's always going to be someone that's going to bug the heck out of you, that's going to make you want to run, quit, all that stuff, right? But look at yourself first. Sorry, I went into a tangent.
No, that's why you're here.
It's really important, though, to know because, especially if it's someone's first time. But Monarch Shores, I loved. It was different than my first one. They were nurturing, loving. I loved the groups. And I definitely would recommend going to PHP, the partial hospitalization afterwards, which is a 5-day-week program, because you're going to need extra care afterwards. I would not just go to detox and rehab and go home. It's not worth your job. It's not worth your life. And this is a life or death thing. Okay. So, Monarch Shores is amazing. Go.
Christiana Lewis Ulwelling, this has been an absolutely cool conversation. I'm begging you to please come back and let's continue it at some point.
Cool.
All right.
Thanks, Ed.
Thank you so much for being here. 8:34 the time, 26 before 9. It's the Mornings with Ed show on
providing
the
you with entertainment, information, and the best music. Because community radio should work both ways.